Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Derek Thompson. I'm a retired professor of geography from the University of Maryland, specializing in geographic information systems. My presentation is about how I developed a mapping capability for my own homeowner association in Greenbelt, Maryland. This work was motivated by a desire to improve the way in which we did some things in the association, particularly research and planning purposes. Now, in case the people in the broader audience looking at YouTube don't know what I'm talking about, a common interest community is a private government with shared facilities and defined boundaries. This includes condominiums, HOAs, and cooperatives. My association is actually the presenter of this talk, not the University of Maryland. This does not represent any of the work that I did as a member of the university. My association is a modest, compact, suburban homeowner association with about 85 acres. And you can see there that there's 10 acres of streets, 36 acres of common grounds, which we have to manage, and then there are 24 acres for the private lots. The activities which we may benefit from map use include such things as governance and communications, management, and long-range planning. And the association, like others, employs professional management, but homeowners are expected to do some work, and they do that particularly on boards of directors, committees, and doing research for specifications for projects and for long-range planning. I categorize the different kinds of uses in several ways. What I'm going to do is just show you some examples. Orientation is very important, just having basic maps for giving to homeowners, vendors, contractors who come in, the maintenance guy who you want to go to a particular place and not get lost. For inventory purposes, the bottom right map here, including pictures, besides the maps, is important for inventory. And at the left-hand side, something which is not too simple that is to do some simple analysis. This is an example of the zones of radius of light from street poles. More complex things would be community leaders doing research and planning for major projects. This is an example for drainage, and this involves the homeowners at the early stages of field work, writing specifications, having conversations with the grounds contractors, doing the planning, and then going all the way through to implementation, and maps were provided to the drainage contractor and were used for orientation sessions for the homeowners. Another example is that of long-range planning. Maps were used very effectively with annotations in the design of a garden walk, an azalea garden. On the East Coast, we like to have azaleas. We have a more humid climate than you do here, and this was done to replace a closed playground. And you can see that there were uses of maps, air photos, pop-up picture windows, and so on and so forth. The original resources back in 1990 or so were, first of all, the hand-drawn maps at the top left on the screen. But we were fortunate also to have access to tax maps and maps provided by the builder, site plans, and so on. But then I began to establish a database based on my expertise in GIS for the cartographically naive homeowners and managers, and set up using GIS software a whole set of about 20 different layers. This involved a lot of work by me, building upon the government-provided data of an air photo and property boundaries and roads. I had to explain to colleagues, volunteer colleagues, how one could do field work, get a pencil on a piece of paper, go back to your computer, and then trace laboriously by hand to get the effective the particular results needed. It took some time, but gradually the committees, the people I worked with, began to appreciate the use of maps for the different purposes. And there is one such person in the audience today, a cartographically challenged chair of the Landscape Committee, and that's my wife, who's sitting just over there. There were some obstacles to overcome, but there were many benefits. The obstacles included opposition at first to spending $1,200 to license data, passivity by management, and that really is a key thing. Management in this field of ownership communities is not tuned into maps. Another factor was that having to deal with the cartographically challenged people, but overall I think the benefits which emerged, not surprisingly perhaps to the professionals, would be savings in time, improving communications, and getting good information for planning and management purposes. The costs to set up were not very expensive in terms of labor. That was my time input as a volunteer. Now, in the bigger picture, there are many issues which would have to be faced by the communities, and I will end there by saying thank you for your attention. And if you have any insight, you come across any other examples of poor, not rich homeowner associations and condominiums doing this kind of work, please let me know.